Hi, so for those that don't know me, I'm Rose and I'm currently taking Isotretinoin, which is aka Roaccutane, and I just wanted to document like a daily vlog of how my skin is, how my mood has been on it, any sort of drastic changes that I've been feeling, then I'm gonna just document it here. I'm gonna try to do like a monthly segment, just to make it easier. I'm currently on my second month, but I'm just doing my intro really late. Just to give you a small short background of my journey so far, I have had spots / acne since I was about 15. So I've had it for about nearly 15 years. Honestly, it first started off on my forehead, around like all the way around here, just spots and pimples. And then as I started growing older, like in college, early 20s, it started going around my cheeks. And then now it's starting to go all over my neck. And I only recently found out that it's hormonal acne. Between the ages of 25 to 28 or so, I was pretty much spot free, acne free. I had no problem whatsoever. My skin was clear. And then once I hit 28, it just boof, just came back again all at once. And it was almost like a vicious cycle. So I would get it around the same time, so like just before my period, for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'd have one good week. But the 2 to 3 weeks, it was just horrendous. It would be really painful around my neck, and even though I was used to it, because I've had it for so long now, it was just starting to get really, I was just getting really depressed by it. I wasn't really happy with my skin. I was happy in my skin, if that makes sense, but I was just getting really tired of the drastic and the painful under the skin cyst like spots that were coming up on my neck, and I just wanted to be rid of it. So when I finally asked my GP to recommend me to a nutritionist or like a dermatologist, he was like, okay, I'm going to give you the last resort, which is Roaccutane. But he did explain to me that it's not something to be taken lightly, because it is a very strong medication. So he told me to go back home to do more research and just to think about it. But at this point, I was just willing to try anything. I watched other people's vlogs, and that's why I thought I'd be doing this as well, because even though it's not for other people to take advice from me, because just as a disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. This is just my personal journey that I just want to document, and if it helps you to kind of understand the different types of like side effects that you can maybe note down as well, then you know, I'm glad it's going to help you. Because when I was watching other people's vlogs on YouTube, it helped me just to kind of gather up an idea of what might happen, whether or not it will happen to me, because everybody is different. Before I was recommended Roaccutane, since I was 15, I was given loads of different types of medication, lots of different types of pills. So they started me off on the pill when I was about 17 or 18, and then a couple of years of that, decided to not be on the pill anymore. Then it came back, and then they started giving me lots of different antibiotic gels, lots of antibiotic medications, the oral medication. None of that worked. They suggested I change my diet, so I stopped eating red meat, I stopped eating pork, I stopped eating dairy, eggs, milk, butter. I started drinking lots and lots more water. They suggested that I do more exercise and I sleep earlier. Like cleaning wise, to wash my duvets, wash my pillowcases, wash my face cloth like once every 2 weeks, which I did, and none of that worked. So that's where I came to understand, and they told me that it was hormonal acne, and it's just something that can't really be fixed by putting stuff on the outside of the face. It had to be cleansed and sorted from the inside out. So any types of face wash didn't work, any types of anything that I put on my face just doesn't work, because it was all erupting from the inside. And that was when my doctor suggested Roaccutane. I actually watched back on the intro video, and I kind of figured I may not have given enough information, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. I've just got a few notes here. I just want to talk more about what happens before you get the pill, and also the side effects, which I know some of you may actually know about Roaccutane, so you probably already know about all of this, but for those that don't know, like me, when I was doing my research, I literally went in there, like, into the research blinded and just not knowing anything, which is probably a bad idea, but it also gave me a chance to listen to what other people thought and also gather up information before I did my own research, because I was lazy to read. So what happens before I got the pill? I actually had to book an appointment with GP, obviously. Then they recommend you to the hospital department. And from trying to book an appointment to actually getting the pill to my hand, it took a total of 5 months. It's just a long process. So just be prepared to wait, and just prepared for it to be quite long-winded to even get it in the first place. Once you do get the appointment for the dermatologist, they ask you lots and lots of questions, like how your mental health is, whether you're sexually active, what contraception you're on at the moment, because the biggest thing they talk about before you go on it is that you cannot get pregnant on this. It's a must that you cannot. They talk about something called the PPP, which is the Pregnancy Prevention Program, and you can either opt in or opt out. If you opt in, they just check up on you more often. You have to go see them once every month, I think it is. Every time you go see them, before you're even allowed to get prescribed your next batch of medication, you always have to do a pregnancy test, and you always have to do a blood test. A lot of the times, because we're so busy with life, most people prefer to opt out, but that's also personal preference. I opted out, meaning I go to see them once every 3 months. So then they ask you to be on at least 2 forms of contraception. It's up to you what you want to do for contraception, but I chose to have the condom and also the coil. I was thinking I didn't want to go back on the pill because of all the hormones. I didn't want any of the hormones back into my body again. And I had been on the implant before, and that gave me really bad mood swings, so I just knew that wasn't for me. So I chose the coil because I'd never done it before. Personally, it was a bad choice because nobody told me how painful it was going to be. Even when I did my research, nobody really mentioned about it, so I kind of want to be truthful and kind of just be honest about what I went through. Even when I went to get the coil placed in me, I asked the person how painful it was going to be, if it was going to be painful at all, and her answer was that everybody was different, and she was just very casual about it. But honestly, it was just very uncomfortable, and not that it was painful. I'm gonna take that back. It wasn't painful. Afterwards, I actually spoke to the lady, and she said I didn't want to tell you because obviously everybody is different, and I didn't want to scare you. Just so you know, there are 2 types of coils. There's one with hormones and one that's a copper coil that has no hormones, and I chose the copper coil, which is called the IUD. And what happens is when they insert it almost through like a needle or some sort of like applicator that they put up you, and then it's like a tampon. They put it up you, and then they pull the applicator out, and then when they pull the applicator out, the coil opens like a fan, and it kind of attaches itself to your walls. And I think what happens is that when it opened inside, because of the unfamiliarity that it was feeling in my body, it caused my body to go into shock, and what happened was I nearly passed out. They had to give me like sugary drinks, and they had to give me like painkillers to basically make the dizziness go away. I felt lightheaded. As soon as it went in and it opened up, I felt my whole body like a rush of just like a cold shiver, and my body felt like hot and cold. I was going in and out of consciousness, and I had to sit there for about a good half an hour to kind of try and recover from it. And you would feel cramps in your stomach for maybe like half a day. So I would not recommend you to go back to work or anything after doing this. Yes, So going back to the contraception, you have to be on 2 forms of contraception. I chose the copper. You also sign like a waiver to say that you cannot get pregnant. If you get pregnant, you have to terminate it because your baby will become deformed while on this medication. So let's talk about side effects. The side effects to being on this medication is drying of skin, scalp and eyes, of lips and around your nose and the inside of your nose as well, because it's so drying that your nose will sometimes bleed. The skin will become more sensitive, so they recommend that you do not wax, you do not laser, so you have to do all of that before your treatment. If you are on a medication, you just have to shave, to be honest. You cannot be exposed to the sun, you cannot get tattoos, and they also recommend that you do not exfoliate, just because it's going to be too sensitive for that. It causes weaker bones and tendons, so you can still exercise and you can do all like the usual stuff, but just take it a little bit more easier. The Roaccutane Isotretinoin pill is basically an overdose of vitamin A. So you shouldn't have any vitamin A in your food, otherwise you'd be taking too much. If you're taking any supplements, just make sure that they've got no vitamin A, especially like the multivitamins, just take them out of your diet straight away. In terms of side effects, they are probably like the more well-known one that everyone talks about, and so far that's some of them I have experienced it. There are other more severe ones, but to be honest, if you look at the list, it's just an extreme side effect that they have to mention. But everyone's different. Again, just be prepared and just know what you're getting yourself into and the kind of side effects that could happen, because of all the factors that come in with the medication, like the side effects and everything that you have to prepare for and do before the medication. It is quite a commitment, so you have to understand that this is a last resort. Just make sure that you have tried everything else in your power, because I know that people are trying new face cream, a new face wash, a new habit or a new way of like diet for only like a month, and then they give up. You can't see any difference after a month. You need to have a long period of trying something out to see if it works for your skin, and then try something else. Go home and think about it, do your extensive research. Again, I'm not a doctor, I'm just telling you what I've been told and what I'm going through at the moment. So I really hope this helps, and if it does, please like my video and then I'll know it's helped you. But hopefully that's it for now.